it's just not going to come? And what's that feel like?
Yeah, it happened at Daytona. We had a pit road penalty at Daytona, went a lap down, and I watched the rest of the race for the last 100 laps. It's painful. It's brutal. It's just painful. I mean, you're just every lap saying, please, a caution. And fortunately, there was one, and we weren't in the wreck. And so that was the good fortune for us.
We saw a lot of 2 and 3 wide racing today, which is different for next-gen Superspeedway races. What was different?
Yeah, I certainly thought the racing today was better than what we've had in next-gen on super speedways. I think people are just getting smarter with it and understanding how many cars it takes to make a line go, and that's the result you're seeing.
Is that more fun as a driver?
It's always more fun that way because the driver's skill set matters that way.
We see sometimes drivers that are a lap down have to kind of throw themselves in the middle of the pack to stay in the middle of the pack, get the free pass. How risky does that feel, though, to be that car much slower, having to throw yourself in there?
I didn't want to be racing that hard that early, but I mean, the 42 got us right there in that one lucky dog spot right before the end of the stage, and then the 2, me and him are going back and forth and trying everything we can to essentially just screw each other over to put each other back in the line. So if the caution came, we would be the lucky dog. But man, it was nerve-wracking for sure. And then when we drove back to the front, which was back on the lead lap, I really wanted to caution then because I don't know when the last time someone got. Well, we didn't need a lucky dog at that point. We just got it back the old-fashioned way. But it was fun to drive up there and at least kind of flex a little muscle there in the middle stages, showing that we were fast enough. There's a bunch of cars fast enough to win, but we were good enough to do it.
What was the Toyota plan today going into this race? Because Bubba kind of talked about that a little bit.
I mean, we tried to do our best to help each other when we thought it seemed fit, and I mean, certainly when I was battling up front for the lucky dog, I was doing everything I could to push Bubba, because I knew that all I'm doing is racing the 2 car at that time, and he's racing to be up front. So I was trying to keep him up front and keep myself up front.
Is it a thing of like, let's try to be in the back a little bit and
we struggle with numbers, right? And then if you have one car drop or one car's on a different strategy because they got to fix damage, it's really tough. You need 4 or 5 cars in a line, being really disciplined to make lines work. And today you saw more 3 and 4 wide racing than what we've seen on super speedway. So that part was encouraging, but it's so hard to execute a plan, honestly. It really is, and because everyone has a different agenda. The points I needed is different than the points the 23 needed. And, I got asked, well, why don't we pull up to try to win the race? Well, because I just saw that we just passed some playoff cars on the bottom, and if I go to the top, I have a chance to win, but I also have a chance to run 20th by doing that. I've got to do what I've got to do to move on to the next round, and that's why plans are so hard to stick to.
What happened on pit road?
I sped.
How come though?
Just pushing it. My mindset was I'm leading the pack, don't get run into. I didn't want to be too conservative and the whole field pile into me, and just fucked up like I'd done like every year here in the playoffs. So I mean, I don't know. It's just dumb, and certainly that's the one time in the race you just can't do it under green, and I managed to, but also managed to get the lucky dog and then drive through the front.
You talk about the lack of numbers. Obviously next year get 2 more cars at least. Is that enough to make a difference, or is that just a step forward to?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I need to look at the final finishing order, but I'm not convinced that manufacturers sticking with each other is the right move. I'm just, because there's, in my opinion, there's probably, and actually I talked to 5 of what I thought was the best super speedway racers going into this race, the drivers being, I says, do you feel like you can show off your skill set as much in next gen? No, because of alliances and because of this, that, and the other. So it handcuffs with drivers that are really special at doing this. When you have to run right behind whoever is in front of you, it certainly puts the cuffs on you. But when you get down in these playoffs, most of the success I had on super speedways was just doing whatever I had to do for myself to win, and we won a lot of races doing it that way. But next gen, where history has shown that it's been mostly two-wide racing, it's been people sticking with each other. So if you can't go on your own like you used to, so that's where you need the numbers. In certain situations, that's where you need to follow your teammates.
Last question. Needs to be done to look at opening things up. I mean, kind of what you're talking about. Chris Buescher talked about. Look, it's these short pit stops. Nobody's taking tires. You just can't do anything. It's just
you just can't go from the back to the front. Now, I mean, our finishing position would argue that quite a bit. But we needed some shit to happen up in the second and third lane, and the bottom lane got jammed once for us to do that. It's just the car's got a lot of drag, and you need multiple cars to make moves. You can't just take the runs that you get and then go make a move, because there's 3 or 4 lanes that you could work with. It's just a different type of racing, and you got to adapt or die.